Hi, welcome back to my wardrobe. Let's go through the second booklet of the second week of increasing self-esteem. Today we're going to go over changing negative thinking. So let's get started. The first thing we had to do was do an exercise, and it goes like this. Think about the last time you felt worried, stressed, or low. Where were you? Who were you with? And what were you doing? I'll use a recent example from my own life instead of the one I did back then, because that was probably a lot deeper. The last time I was stressed and worried, I had just been invited by a friend to meet her in Edinburgh, which is an hour's train ride away. And there was only a limited time we could meet up, and I had work the one day that we could meet up, and I'd had really bad sleep the couple of days leading up to it, so I was really worried that I was going to have another bad sleep and that I would then not feel up to it. So I was just worried the time was going to get a bit too close, and also it was a bit of a last minute invite, even though I knew she was going to be in Edinburgh for a month or something. The fact we didn't know what dates we'd be able to meet until a couple of days before, so that got me a little bit stressed out. And the second question is, what were you saying to yourself at the time? I was thinking, this is too scary, this is too risky, what if she doesn't like me? What if we have nothing to talk about? What if we get bored of each other? What if she's actually an asshole? Again, I was worried that I wasn't going to be in a good state in case I had no sleep. So I was like, what if I'm an asshole because I've had no sleep? I was just worrying about what was going to happen if I went. And I was just thinking maybe I should just not go. Maybe I should just cancel. The third question is, how did these thoughts make you feel? I think I'm going to sneeze. So thinking that, I was feeling that, well, I should just cancel because I'm not interesting. And that made me feel small and boring and bad about myself. It just made me feel like I wasn't worthy of meeting with a friend. And then the final question is, how helpful were these thoughts? And obviously these thoughts aren't helpful at all. They made me want to cancel plans with a friend and miss out on a potentially really good exciting day. And they made me want to isolate myself further, which I now know would mean that I would feel worse about myself in the long run. So this is just showing that negative thoughts aren't helpful at all, and we're now going to look at how to break them down, and how to realise that they're not helpful and how to challenge them. Once you have a negative bottom line, which we talked about in the last video, it can be difficult to change. The bottom line is strengthened by negative and biased ways of thinking. Biased thinking means you tend to focus on negative things and ignore or downplay the positives. So the third exercise, no, the second really, exercise we had to do was looking at negative thinking and low self-esteem and confidence. What are the typical things you say to yourself that are negative and unhelpful? Look at the thoughts that you'd noted down before. Do you have, how do I get out of thoughts? So I literally did. I was like, how do I get out of this situation? Because I'm scared of what is going to happen. I can't cope with thoughts. For this I said no. I guess because even in a negative situation I know I can cope. I'll just be nervous. But I won't break down completely. But that's okay if you know that you can't cope with a situation. What is the point kind of thoughts? Again, exactly what was going through my mind. I was like, what's the point of meeting up? Because I'm really boring and I've not had very good sleep and I'm not in a very good state of mind right now, and what if like we get bored of each other and like we don't have a good time, so what's the point of me even trying? I should have thoughts. So like in that situation I was like, I should have asked her earlier when to meet, I should have done this and that to prepare myself, I should have got a better sleep the days before even though I like couldn't control that. And then I am thoughts, so I was thinking I am boring, so we just shouldn't do it. So yeah, and then there was room for like any other kind of thinking that you had as well. So next are common unhelpful ways of thinking. Making anxious predictions. I overestimate the chances of bad things happening and I underestimate my personal resources to deal with it. So you think of more bad things that will happen and you diminish the fact that you'll probably be able to cope with most of the things. So like using my example, I was thinking, well, we won't be able to talk to each other, it'll be really awkward, I'll be really boring, we won't have a good time. When, you know, if I'm in that situation, I can just ask a question or think of something to do, like an activity, so that we don't have to talk. Or I could just say, well, I'm just gonna go home. Like I could just, you know, I don't know, there are ways out of that situation. I don't have to be stuck in the moment of the bad thing happening. Like even if the bad thing happens, I can override that. I have the capabilities of doing that. I've been in awkward situations before, and I will be in awkward situations again, and I've gotten out of them before, and I will get out of them again. Another one unhelpful way of thinking is self-criticism. I'm very self-critical. I overlook my strengths and focus on my weak points. So again with the example, I was saying I'm boring, and I wasn't focusing on like, well, actually I'm also funny and I'm also interesting and I'm a good laugh and I'm good company. All or nothing thinking. If things are not perfect, then I have failed. Either everything is brilliant or it's a complete disaster. Next to this I put like a big star because that's a thing that I really do. Like this is literally my type of thinking. Like it has to be the way I imagine it. The thing is, I don't know about anyone else, but I have a really strong imagination, so I imagine how things are going to happen before they do. So like if I'm meeting someone, I imagine what I'm going to say first, what they'll reply, what I'm then going to say, what they'll reply to that, and how the conversation is going to flow. But I can't obviously predict how people are going to react, what people are going to say. So because I can't predict human nature, I'm obviously going to fail, like in my own views anyway, because it won't be what I expected and it won't be what I'm training myself to deal with, which is bad. Next one is catastrophizing, imagining and believing that the worst possible thing will happen. So that's basically the opposite of what I do. I imagine ways in which things will go smoothly, and catastrophizing is ways in which everything can go bad. And I didn't take that one because I don't really tend to do that. So this is like, oh well, if I meet this person, I could see this, I could see that, and they might see this, they might ask about that, you know, like this could happen, that could happen. Like it's thinking of all the possible things that could go wrong. Mind reading, assuming we know what others are thinking, usually about us. I tend to think other people don't like me, think badly of me without any evidence. Guilty. Again, it's that thing that I was saying of like my imagination. I kind of fill in the gaps, and this is what projecting is. Like you're projecting your thoughts and feelings onto the other person without knowing if they are actually thinking or feeling those things. Personalization. Personalization. I don't know. Taking responsibility and blaming yourself for factors that are out with your control. I feel responsible for things going well. It is my fault when things don't work out. So I used to have this a lot. Not so much anymore, but like I would think, oh, if I'm going to the party, I better be like the funniest and like the best person there. And you know, if I'm not funny, then people won't have a good time. When like that's not your responsibility. It was kind of a broad example, but like one example I can think of in particular is like I went on a trip with someone and I was like, well, you know, I have to make sure that everything goes really, really well for them. And if it doesn't, then, you know, all hell's gonna break loose. Like, they're gonna be so mad because they came all the way here to see me. So I have to make sure that it's all really good for them. When, like, you know, they were an adult as well, they don't need me to make sure everything's great. And no one can do that. Like, no one can take care of someone completely. Like, that would just be like hanging out with your mum, basically. Like, that's not a good way to behave. And the last one is shoulds and musts. I often say I must, should, or have to. I want things to be just right, perfect. Another one that the leader of the group was saying is I expect. So I expect a lot. I don't say should or must as much, but I say I expect. Like, I expect myself to behave a way, and I expect others to behave a certain way as well. Like, I have a lot of expectations from other people. And I think this wasn't in the course, but this is an unhealthy attitude I have, is that I think, well, I treated this person this way, so I expect them, or they should, treat me the same way back. So, like, if I did them a favour, then they should offer to do a favour for me. When, you know, no one owes you anything. Like, if you're doing a favour but not actually saying, oh, well, can you do this for me as well then? They're not going to know that you want something back. Because you're just expecting it. You're not actually vocalising it, and that's like a big thing for me. The next exercise. Look again at the thoughts you wrote down earlier. Can you recognise any of the unhelpful thinking styles in what you wrote? So this was like the one about meeting the friend. And I kind of went over those. So making anxious predictions, I thought things were going to be bad, that we were going to find each other boring or uninteresting, that we were going to have a bad time. Self-criticism, I was thinking I'm boring, I'm not interesting enough to hang out with for multiple hours, I'm not good enough at organising things, you know, all this kind of stuff I was thinking badly about myself. All or nothing thinking, I have to make sure she has a really good time, otherwise I failed. I have to be like on top form, I have to be like super duper funny, I can't be quiet. I have to be like really entertaining so that she has a good impression of me. Catastrophizing. Well, I don't really do that. But if I did do that, it could be like, well, I'm going to make a fool of myself, and she'll laugh at me, and I want to go home but I won't be able to because it'll then be awkward. Mind reading, she's going to think she's really boring, like I'm really boring. She's going to think I should never have done this, like I should never have agreed to meeting with this person. She's going to think, why am I hanging out with this girl? All this kind of stuff. Personalization. So again, like, it's very similar to all or nothing, in my opinion. Thinking like, well, I have to make sure that everything's great for this person, and if they walk away not saying they had a good time, then it's my fault. Shoulds and musts. So I must be the best version of myself at all times for however much time we spend together, otherwise they're not going to like me. Like, I can't be quiet at any point. I can't be boring, can't say anything uninteresting or not funny. So the last exercise, I think this is the last one. Yep. The last exercise was challenging unhelpful thoughts. By answering the question below, we can begin to tackle our unhelpful thoughts. So now that we've broken them down into what kinds of unhelpful thoughts we have, we can try challenging them. So my unhelpful thought is, I wrote this down for the situation I was in then, but I'll just read it out because it doesn't go into too much detail. My unhelpful thought was, I am a bad person. So, number one, what is the evidence? Is the thought actually true? Am I confusing a thought with a fact? And you have to write down, like, you have to break the thought down, basically. So, what is the evidence that I'm a bad person? I have done something bad. Is the thought actually true? Am I confusing a thought with a fact? So is the thought actually true? Well, I also do good things and people enjoy my company, so it can't be true all the time. What unhelpful thinking style do I have? Am I making anxious predictions, being self-critical, or having expectations? So in the case of I am a bad person, it was self-critical and high expectations of myself. What alternative views are there to this thought? What would other people say about this thought? What would I say to a friend? So my friend would tell me that it was a bad situation and I'm not bad for the way it devolved. What would I say to a friend? I would say the same. It was a bad situation and they acted the way they thought was best at the time, and that it's okay to make mistakes and that doesn't make you a bad person. Am I overestimating the chances of disaster? What's the worst that could happen, the best that could happen, and the most likely outcome? I didn't write anything down for that because it had already happened. But the most likely outcome for any situation is that you're human and you're allowed to make mistakes. And like, you're gonna do bad things or mistakes, and you're also going to do good things. I don't know. I didn't write anything down, so I don't feel prepared enough to answer that one, but hopefully you guys can think of ways to break the thought down with that prompt. Does this thought help me? Does this way of thinking hold me back? In what way? This thought is holding me back because it makes me feel like no matter what I do, I'm still a bad person. So if you go thinking you're a bad person, you're gonna act like you're a bad... Well, you're not gonna act like a bad person, but you're just gonna keep thinking you are. Yeah, like no matter what you do, you're making mistakes and you're not doing right things. Have I had experiences that show this thought is not completely true all the time? So I wrote down, Mum loves me, Murray loves me, that's my brother. Friends love me and enjoy my company. People trust me and want to speak to me. I also think I'm trying to be better, so I can't be all bad. If I was all bad all the time, I wouldn't be leading the life I am now. So, other evidence that the thought isn't true would be, I have friends, I make people smile. In the example that I said at the beginning, people want to hang out with me even after never meeting me. People respond well to me when I give them compliments or reach out to them. I make people smile, I make people laugh, so I can't be a bad person because a bad person wouldn't do any of those things. Think back over your previous unhelpful thoughts. What would be a more positive, balanced viewpoint? So I think actually that was what it was if I was all bad all the time, I wouldn't be leading the life I am right now. So I'm not a bad person. I just was in a bad situation and I maybe had a flawed way of dealing with it, but it wasn't an all bad way of dealing with it. And I'm not bad all the time. it was just a bad situation. I feel like I'm not explaining this properly today. I don't know what's going on. And then we had things to try at home. Notice over the next week the negative thoughts that go through your mind when you feel anxious or low. Try to challenge the negative thoughts by using the techniques we used and discussed. Wait, what? Try to challenge the negative thoughts by using the techniques we have discussed, for fuck's sake. Notice how you feel differently when you're able to change the way you are thinking. Notice if you act in a different way. So, for example, if I was thinking I was a bad person, I would retreat into myself. But if I was thinking... Sorry, I just ate, so I'm making funny noises. If I was thinking, you know, it was a bad situation and I'm not a bad person, then I would think... I would be forgiving myself, essentially, and I would be more open to doing things and wanting to hang out with people and not feeling guilty all the time, which would make me feel lighter, like physically and mentally, and I would be able to do more instead of just sitting there feeling guilty and bad. So it would change not just my mental state but my physical state as well, because I would then feel, you know, not burdened and put down. Yeah, and I wouldn't be crying. So I'll maybe put the questions down below in the description box, and if you have an unhelpful thought this week, you can break it down with the help of those little questions and prompts. But yeah, that was basically it that week. It felt like there wasn't much to that week, but it was such a big change of mentality, like thinking about the bad thoughts I have and breaking them down completely into what type of bad thought is it, and why is it a bad thought, and what is it doing to me, and how is it affecting my behaviour, my mental and physical state, and what is it preventing me from doing, and is it helpful. And that was like a big thing for me at the time, was anytime I would get down on myself, I would think, this isn't helping me right now, this is making me feel worse. And then you can break it down using those prompts, like asking yourself. The big one for me was asking myself, like, would I say this to my friend? Or would that friend say that to me? That was like a big one that really helped me to see, like, I'm being too harsh on myself and I just need to, like, take it easy and be gentle to myself. I think at this point as well, she said that you can reach out to someone as well and just ask, like, hey, I'm feeling this way, do you think that about me? Obviously it should be someone that you actually trust enough to, you know, give you a little boost. It shouldn't just be like someone that you know on Instagram or anything, but like if you're close to any family members, just ask, like, hey, I think I'm a bad person, do you think I'm a bad person? And ask for evidence on the contrary, like ask what you've done that doesn't make you a bad person, like ask ways that you made their life better or made them smile that week or whatever, like any kind of small way that will help you feel better. Although if you're shit at accepting compliments, which we'll go into in one of the following weeks, that could be a challenge, but if you are okay with accepting compliments, that could be something to do as, even if you don't ask them right then, if you do it like a couple of days after and you've calmed down about the situation enough but it's still on your mind, just say, like, hey, I thought I was a bad person the other day, do you think that? Why do you not think I'm a bad person? And that can help you feel better about yourself. Yeah, that's it for this week. And I hope you have a good week, and I will see you next time.